What's up everyone, this is Jacob. This is my G55. Alright, let's lay this out there right up front. So the G-Wagen is a awesome platform, especially considering it was designed right alongside the Jeep CJ. Way ahead of its time, but that was 20-30 years ago. And so now, by modern standards, it just doesn't even make sense anymore, and that's why they weren't so concerned about moving it to the independent suspension platform and going more and more cush with the things. I love it for what it is, and we'll get to that later, but let me just show you what it's not, which is the pinnacle of technology by today's standards. So let's check out some of the most capable vehicles on the planet in terms of off-roading. Let's check out what they're going up close, and then we'll come back to why I love the G-Wagen still, even with that, even though it's not the most capable thing on the planet. Now this, on the other hand, is one of the most capable things. This might look like a normal Jeep, but there's probably not a production part on this vehicle whatsoever. 100% custom built to be unstoppable. What is unstoppable, you ask? Here's a truck that we keep seeing on this channel. This is Shannon Campbell, qualifying back in 2021. We know short course trucks can jump, but immediately after that, Ultra 4 cars are expected to do this. Not only do that, do it repeatedly for hundreds of miles straight. Another example here is Casey Curry just diving off this hill, and watch how he transitions immediately back into the short course. This is what 700 horsepower should sound like. As you can see, here's back door. Just to show you how absolutely massive these things, let me jump down there, try and give you a sense of scale for some of this stuff. I just want to clear the air. I love it. It's not an undestructible rig, sort of the picture that everybody paints. It's this, you know, thing that's up elevated on this platform, and that's why it's, you know, 150, 200K or whatever. 500 if you're getting a 4x4 squared, or over $1 million if you're talking 6x6s. So this is my daily driver. We have the Excursion, but every single thing we do to it takes it farther and farther and farther away from a daily driver. It's a diesel, so in the line to pick up my kid, it's just like choking out the kids like a school bus. It's just not the right thing. So we got this. It's kind of a good all-around thing. What I personally like about it is it's very capable, and you come off these trails, spray it down, and nobody bitches when you pull up to the valet at the resort. And it cleans up well. Here it is on display at the Hope Kids car show. The theme was adventure, and we were showing that all that stuff can be balled up inside that trailer and then it can be towed home. And even when it is off-road, it's not only effortless, but it's so quiet. This is absolutely silent, and that's one of the things I love about it. And it's not like we're going over smooth terrain. Here's one thing, you gotta watch out for shit like this. Look at this rock, man, that will wreck your day. Something like this. Well, let me roll down my power windows. Oh, there's a Ultra 4 team right there. They just want you to walk up, man. That's kind of the spirit. Speaking of being on display, this front and rear bumper set with that light bar was made specifically to be on display at King of the Hammers. So it's kind of more of a racy style with dimple die, stitch welding, as opposed to the more clean look of all of those opening shots. If you're really interested in learning more or looking at these closer, go to the Instagram page, which is probably the best place. And not only will you see all this stuff, but most of the up-to-date things, Cherokee build, Mexico trips. But towards the bottom, when we were building it, we were posting a lot more. So it's all on there in much more detail. All right, so we're back in the shop. Got this thing up on the lift. Let's check it out. Of course, you can't talk about an AMG without talking about the hand-built supercharged engine. Something like 400 to 500 horsepower, but instant torque and gobs of it. This engine is amazing. High level overview, you got solid axle front and rear, coil springs all around, trailing arms front and rear, triple locked, which means that it has a locker in the front and rear axles, but also one in the transfer case, allowing it to be all-wheel drive all the time. And an interesting thing on this truck is it's a divorce transfer case, which means you have 3 drive shafts, one in the front, one in the rear, and then this intermediate shaft right here going from the engine to the transfer case. And what that does is it helps keep the length of the front and rear drive shafts as long as possible, and also centers the weight in the vehicle to give you the best weight distribution. If you ask me, the setup of the front axle is the most important thing in a vehicle. It's going to decide how the vehicle handles on the road. It's probably going to be one of the first things to break off-road. And if you let your wife drive this thing, this right here is going to decide whether she likes this vehicle or not. And so zooming in, you're looking at the constant velocity joints, and this helps an all-wheel drive vehicle not ratchet around a turn. You're looking at antiquated radius arms in the front. We'll come back to those. This is the style of the day to have this crossbar linking the 2 wheels behind the axle. And the reason that's done is to keep the Ackerman correct. So couple that with that valve steering damper, and this thing is smooth as butter around tight turns. Even though it's all-wheel drive, even though it's a solid axle, it is really amazing. Let me rephrase. It is absolutely amazing as it was designed. But as soon as you start messing with things, that's where things start to go downhill. You're undoing all of the engineering that they put into it. So when it was designed, it had what, 15-inch wheels and maybe 20-inch tires? Now we've got 20-inch wheels and 35-inch tires. So all of this stuff is very anemic. It really just can't handle it. And then you start changing the geometry with lifts and things, and that's where you really start needing to look at correction bushings, getting rid of the radius arms, beefing up that steering damper, which is really just a crutch. And even then, the stuff really doesn't work. If you look at the marks on these eccentric bushings, you could see that they're walking around in the arms. They don't work. They need to be centered. Moving around to the front of the axle here, you could see the coil springs. These are G-Wagen overlanding 4-inch lift in the front. We have Eurowise track bars, factory steering link, factory lockers, and here you can see the bottom of our skid plate. Not just interested in pointing out problems. So in the 50 years since this suspension has been designed, this is pretty much the modern standard. This is on all Super Duties, all the Jeeps, pretty much everything with the solid axle. And as you can see, the cross link is in the front. The track bar and steering link are at the same angle and are about the same length. The steering damper position really doesn't matter. It's just there to protect the box. Putting this into practice here, we're back at King of the Hammers, checking out this F-150. The gold standard is not just a steering damper, but actual hydraulic steering down on the crosslink. But you can see all the same things just built to the max. Braced, gusseted. Here we're looking at coil overs instead of just coil springs and separate shocks. But this is it. This is the pinnacle of technology for a road vehicle today. So one of the challenges with the G-Wagen platform We could build radius arms like this that are adjustable. Not only are you trying to correct the caster, but you have to be mindful of the pinion angle too. So anyway, stay tuned. This is what has to happen to the G-Wagon to get it to perform. Hind joints, better bushings, radius arms, the works. Before we jump back onto the vehicle, I just want to say I understand that off-roading means different things to different people. As a mall crawler, this thing is an absolute savage beast. I drive over at least a curb a day. In the urban jungle, that's just part of it, and it's really making me a bad driver. But even out of the box, this thing will do steep ascents like this. These bigger tires really don't matter when you have traction. You could stop and start on the steepest terrain that's out there, even with a factory vehicle. The important thing in the context of this video is just for everybody to understand how I use the truck. That way when we go back underneath and I say we need to make improvements, those improvements are to make it perform at this level, but also maintain handling on the street. Here's one of my favorite demos. I'll run through this section 3 times. This time, too slow. A little bit faster. It's about the limit of what the truck can handle, but if you add a little bit more speed, this is what happens. Youch. Here's some footage by YouTube. This guy, check him out, check his YouTube channel out. He really has some great footage to study. But here you can see, even with these high-level trucks, 4-inch king shocks all the way around, coilovers, bypasses, the works, they still, if you hit the whoops at the wrong speed, it's not going to end well. And these things can get down. If you're going to talk about speed in the desert, you have to talk about trophy trucks. But I don't know that it's a fair comparison because we're not trying to jump the G-Wagen. I just want to show that even with a $200,000 suspension, the best that money can buy, speed is everything. You have to pick the speed for the terrain. All this money does nothing for you if you don't hit it at the right speed. Looking at this from a different angle, here's BJ Baldwin, one of the fastest drivers in one of the fastest trucks, and still have to moderate the speed and heavily relying on bump stops. If you're interested, there's a whole nother video on trophy trucks here where I go through some of the suspension components and some of the shops that we go to. If you're interested, it's there for you to check out. Coming back under the vehicle, here's what I really wanted to preface and show you. You can see these beautiful king shocks, the coil springs, the rear arms. What is all that oil? And all this sand sticking to the oil, where could that possibly have come from? Oh, it's all over the brakes. That's a lot of oil. Nothing ahead of that. So it's obviously from the shocks. So these shocks are blown. At least this one. Let's check the rest. Driver side rear survived. Looks pretty clean. Front driver side, it's hard to tell. They're tucked up in there. Oh, wet. Not as wet, but it's still blown. Take it out. Front passenger side, the shock itself is dry, but there's fluid coming down the reservoir hose, so that one's blown. Ironically, the steering damper survived. I have a brand new Fox one that I took off. I hate it. It's pressurized, meaning that it preferentially pushes the wheels one way. I took it out. Sitting on the shelf. So there's 2 things left to talk about. Yeah, we blew the shocks out of it, and we've tested it to the ultimate limit of what stock configuration suspension might look like on this vehicle. And the sensible thing to do would be to start from scratch and build a pre-runner. Say if you're going to be going that fast out into the desert, or you're going to want to take it to that next level and you want portals and all this stuff, you could say there's not really a better vehicle as a daily driver. I love it. It's super capable, nobody complains, everybody wants to get in it. You can take it to car shows, pick up your kids from school. The thing is amazing, it's awesome, I love it. We blew it up, so what? But here is a spare axle, and stay tuned because like I said, we're gonna sweep through the undercarriage of this thing and build it the way that I think it should be, bring it up to modern standards, and then it's just gonna be the best vehicle ever. Now that we have this race shop, it's sort of a blessing and curse. The blessing is, look at this. We got the shop, we can do it, we got the lift, we got welders, everything, benders. It's gonna happen, there's nothing standing in our way. The curse is that it's awesome. We love building race cars, and so every opportunity I get, I'm like a squirrel. Boom, sand car, trophy truck, Ultra 4. I gotta tame the ADD a little bit and go back towards sort of the autistic OCD, get back onto my mission, make stuff happen, and get this stuff as a kit out to you guys. So stay tuned. I'll probably do a lot more videos on the specific builds and components as we do them, and hopefully we'll get it all on the website for you guys to buy.
So go check out the website. Hopefully all of this R&D will be available to you guys soon. The second thing we want to talk about is,
you could say that there's a car culture for every vehicle, especially if it's cool. I don't know so much about like Toyota Camry meetups, but if you got like a Volkswagen Beetle, you wave to every other Beetle driving by, of course Jeeps. But the G-Wagen community is something special. It's really cool. Check out some footage from the G-Wagen rally. These are the best friends that money could buy. And we all get together and talk about one of the coolest vehicles ever made and probably will ever be made. Take your bet. You smell funny. Making me hungry. Anyway, these videos are an enormous effort to make. I hope this information is useful to you. Like and subscribe so you can stay tuned to when this thing finally does get built, or just to follow along with whatever other fun builds we're doing. I'm going to try really hard to document them. And if you want to get involved, come check out the shop. If that's not possible, just reach out. We'll figure it out. But thank you so much to everybody who watches these videos. The channel's growing. Other social media, Instagram, Facebook, of course. Don't hesitate to reach out. We're here for you guys. Come along with the fun, and I hope to see you on the next one.